Melech, we have problem and we are suffering too much, and I am so sorry. At this day, this December the 1st, 2016, I gotta tell you, the whole as have been happening has a very common denominatively, point about the reality as this is all as around. And it's exactly the same as have been doing and causing to me the same ones. That text to saying that this video will be done by them for the trying to make the mobile about the realities this and the problems that this all causes because of what they want. I cannot say no further but what we are discussing already. You asked me this video, and I know you do. The reality for what this is called Betretach Machtachim is exactly what you already know. I shall never have the chance, but it is all ripped away from me, and it is all taken off, which keeps on making the same class of circumstances, like it keeps on making the same class of problems to my person, the same ones. I am coming through in a very hell every day, which keeps on making the damages that are doing to me, and not only to me. And the reality for what we are going through is exactly the Betchetach Isha Baspat Basar Adechamiat Adechamihim. I wouldn't do nothing further but what easy we're telling about. But the reality is that we need to do. And congratulations about the pleb and Joab Isvat Eseshalem Asvat Vasiyam Atlantica Dachat Chach Naseh Hashem is a great succeeding. But even though we should never keep the watch as about what we know this is all about. I'm going to send you both videos that Your Honor also needed I to do. I have problem. I am in a very destruction, suffering, and not only I, a lot of other people, a lot of significantly real people, and simply for this, to making a very clear fact about what this is all around in the middle of this disgusting cultivation is nothing off and nothing in, and is everything in and everything away at the same time. Just to say to you, if I will ever have to choose, you already have me. And I choose about that. The problem is what I cannot reach and I cannot do. Not for the say and not for the character of the disaster of I will be the responsible for that. in the middle of this clear fact, there were happening much other circumstantial significant realities. And one is exactly the fire, another is the case with Redemi, another is what pretends to make him with Guatemala. I'm telling you one thing. It's all okay until this with UNASUR goes to trying to do some referential for the making what they need. I wouldn't advise to go to agreements making with Palag because of there is a disaster. And I wouldn't making agreements with HeShem because of his part of this. So suddenly, there are limitations and there are agonies around these problems we are having, and this is not right. What the clearing of each as business is exact as Paivim were telling to us. This is a very not real name, like I am doing, but you recognize. So suddenly, nothing to set around, no other but the clear fact of a mess, and a mess in the meaning of the real disasters that these were causing to us and still wanting to do. Mr. President Redemi should ever maybe consider Gabriel Maisil because of where exactly the terms where everything were happening and the terms where everything were clear about the disasters themselves. So suddenly, let's making this singular reality itself. Around attempting against us is permanently Ejército Argentino, Armada Argentina, Kirchners, even if there will be like a lie. And at the permanently producing and promoting class of attempts, disasters and pains is exactly what we have been through, with not other but causing to us what we never wanted and separating us and making the temperatures enough for this to be the clear of the no way back at the nothing, and to scramble us in front of the realities of them, for they to taking conditions and positions and to taking everything as they says they will ever have rights to do. If you want something I to tell you, there is no further and there is no less but what the same cause with your Honor Dialer were expressed and put it in orders at the reference for what it were the last of the attemptings against the state of Israel to cause overwhelm and damages, serious ones, like the fire and those planes that were about to be put it down. Exists a very number of circumstances that is not really exactly what we do. And exists a very not element to recover how much and how better the possible this to be at the reference for what this means, exactly making the way not to also with me and I'm sorry. Is exactly the class of circumstances and the class of disasters that doesn't has no reference, no relativism, and no class of choice instant about nothing but what this really has been done, which is exactly the class of attempting that is for genociding at the element of the whole that I already denounced. This is nothing else to be about but a reference and a relativism over what one can be and sensitivizing at the point for the saying that is right and is okay. So suddenly, at the clear of this and at the real of this, is exactly the class of a circumstantial mobile for the making what they says gotta be done, what also pretends to promoting at the force to Guatemala to be the door, which don't have to be. Reality is exact as Bekel in Samar, is exact as Baelak in Basaita, is exact as Delatid Atamatfor and Doser, and is exact as Egypt. So suddenly, to pronouncing about this is really dedicated for whatever I to say, and it's really contundently word to not say it's con also. Rotundly, not a word, the same that before one. At the clear of the inteleki rechavesa vesia likatsishev dech machalamater masevar. So suddenly I wouldn't act a word what Altainer were telling to be done. And you know why. Now, the clear of the evidences and the circumstances about the soul is a very significant disaster if there is not something to demand and declare as reference of the circumstance itself, but how possibly to making something like this once the same as the orders are really put it in the sight for there to not happen nothing else but what the clear of these disasters, which pretends also while I am doing this to come to you to offering you the solvential capacity of a supposed patriot for supposed help. We have been through about this with Iran, with Iraq, with Palestine, and with much other, and we couldn't have known from Argentina ever, because of there is a very sociopathic generation which permanently makes this and are too dangerous like for consider. So, between the lines and between the realities, Hatzer is the person that will ever help to the conditions and the problems themselves. I wouldn't ask for no else, and I wouldn't do no further. Is exactly from the same states parties with liaison office working and making a very good job, and you know the person. is a very respectable, honorable, is a very trustable character of one that dedicates the days and nights to making the job that gotta be done, and is exactly the member that were at the effort of the whatever to be, always trying to do everything as possibilities to concordance, to relevantly, existently putting in orders for there the possible to be done. Suddenly, I wouldn't do no further about Big and I wouldn't do nothing else about Dabad. You have it all. But the problem still consists in this keeps on making the same as normal, and with forgeries by UNASUR, which still is forbidden International Court of Justice, International Criminal Court Liaison Office, because of what as normal does with invention of cases and this less humanity permanently and attempting with this class of things like still does to me, for the reason of those elements that are not really discussable, but the ones that produces and promotes this class of circumstances every day and never stops and never makes no differences but what this is all about, which is extinguishing the Jewish reality and also the whole those that are royalty for the making a dream of a hell come true, which doesn't come true at all, but is a very immense, but the same as themselves, promoted like abominations, like they wanted and they asked to be done, with the sensitivizing what they says is the price for the whole of the ages. To tell you truth, nothing else but the same is exactly the contrary at getting we're telling in the United States of America, because of they couldn't observe, they couldn't realize what were happening at the confining the clear fact of our days into never happened is not true. There is something which is criminals than any other, but the same as the putting in orders for there can be some schizoid state of religious character to watch over and through other class of circumstances, and who would be the responsible for this. This is happening, and we have problem. So once bail is exactly the complete of the evidences and the complete of the information, and about Kelam is exactly the against, is contrary. So I'm telling you, at my oracle's capacity, I'm sorry for this irony, the reality of Bekim and the reality of Basel is exactly the not taking no peace and not setting no possibly to no one ever, not led to doing nothing else but what already have been done, and not to setting no further about my person but what you already have, and clearing for everything that it is exactly that you already have, that this were doing to me and to us, and seeking every day using me like a mobile phone, and never have done no difference, and still does exactly the same. I give you a recall with this, which is exactly what you wanted I to say. https://www.dpdidacit/acmit/bimed/bimad/kad/bled/com/cap/conquer DPT/DPIECIECT/DLIC middle. The circumstantial capacity of a population, the same of a nation, doesn't make related the clear of what other nation can give or provide, but the self-capacity in the same normal as the belly to deliver the days into the normal action toward how to making the possible action to this to become true, what as normal the real nation will ever provide, and making the building a nation like no other in the orders and what as alliated to be in the same orders to understand how to cover the reality to not be alone and being predated. Middle. DICMTMC, middle cis, middle PTPITMTIC, Bremplev, Gelbat.com, the commands, middle, CRDMTMC, middle cis, middle EPEDICOT, point DMI5, point INT, F7 in systems bomblet. This works with the last of the tools that I sent, and it's exactly as Gilly will determine that the possibilities to be done. Melech, I am so sorry. I love you so much, and I love you all there. I am so sorry. Ask you please to be safe, and ask you please to be wise, as I always beg you and beg to you. Let's make something for this, somehow work, I don't know, but wisely. Beg you please. I love you so much.